to town really that often for many years. So the times we would get together would be for barbecues, for birthdays or anniversaries, or when our family came out from back east. And that was always a highlight for me because you haven't lived and you haven't really experienced life until you've experienced the McNutt family and those brothers together. Separating fact from fiction was impossible with them. And I tell stories today, and I still don't know if they're true or not, but they're funny that I heard them tell. And the reason I want to talk about the family is because that's where Uncle Dick's heart truly was. The times I saw him cry, was when he had to say goodbye. He would love this, though, because he loved being the center of attention, for one thing, and this would make him very happy. But most of all, he loved his family. And I don't know of anybody who could keep everybody straight in this big family, but Uncle Dick could. And he loved every one of you. And he's loving you now. We'll be with him again.
Thank you, Philip. Anyone else? I was actually more attracted to Dick than I was to Kay, and that sounds crazy. And I think it's probably, the irony is that I met him at a funeral. But you know, he was just ornery enough and witty enough and had something going all the time on somebody. He had nicknames that you just could not believe. He had stories. You know, he was a storyteller. His three brothers, Red, Trig, and Fatfool. You never know how much he loved them from the nicknames. But then he called Kay Wart. I was Crockett. And there are other names that we can't share today in mixed company. He had a streak of ornery that was consistent. He was never mean with it, but it was always one of these, you knew that he was about to get you. Kay used to tell me about the club that Dick belonged to. And I said, "You mean the country club?" He said, "No, it wasn't Rotary. It was the Brothers Club." And these brothers would all get together and talk about Tennessee, the native homeland, as if it was the promised land. I heard stories. Finally got to go back and visit this rundown, weed-infested home in the Tennessee hills. And I heard all the stories about all the escapades of the brothers and who did what to who. And then I got to see a home video of them wading into this creek that they used to tell me how cold it was and they would brave. And they were walking like it was broken glass on the bottom. They could hardly stand it. The little bird-like legs. They'd sit together at a barbecue under the patio, and they would tell these stories. And like Philip said, I, honest to God, thought this was the gospel that they were spreading. Because every one of them, could jump right in and finish the other guy's sentence. And they all kind of mumbled. She said, "Now just shut up and listen, you'll learn something from this." And then they'd go home, and then they'd come back, and they'd start right in on the same old stories. And this time the rock would get a little bit higher, the river a little bit deeper, but I never saw a family that had the kind of male bonding that these 10 boys did for each other, and their wives, and their kids. And it's a real tribute to probably the way they were raised, because that little 98-pound woman put the fear of God into all of them, and she could whip any two of them in a moment. But the one thing I remember most about Dick was his macho side. You know, he didn't weigh 130 pounds soaking wet. But even when he was sick in the hospital, he'd raise his fist about how he was going to knock somebody from here to Tennessee. And one of the things when Charlie and Dick and I were alone in the hospital, they were telling a news story. I hadn't heard this one, and I made some notes. Dick, who was having a really hard time communicating, but he obviously wanted to say something to his brother. And he said, "Fat boy, why is it?" And I looked at him, and Charlie knew exactly what he'd said. And he said, understand. And of course, Dick had to have the last word. He said, "Huh?" I never knew what they said. But you know what? It's the kind of love that permeates family, and that was the mainstay of Dick McNutt and Fern and their finest work, Kay. And we're glad that you're here. We appreciate the weather. He would have loved to have had a party. And I can see his little jig that he dances and watches people pass by and getting them goosed. And he just was consistent right up to the very end. He was a sweetheart. He was a man's man, and he took care of business. And I'm proud to be his son-in-law.
Thanks, David. Anyone else? You don't necessarily have to come up here if you just like stand where you're at and share a memory with the family. Anyone?
For those of you who don't know us, we're the Quintana family. We were their neighbors for 24 years across the street. We had 3 families that were adult, elderly people living across the street that took me and my brother in as latchkey kids, as grandparents. And the McNutts were the last ones that we have left. I was 3 years old when we met them. And they met me through my daughter. And they were always there for us. Even at the hospital, he told us off, like everybody. And he pulled his pranks on us. But we really love him, and we're really going to miss him. And I'm really sorry for doing that. And we love you so much, and we don't want to stop seeing you around. And of those of you that ever went over there, seen how he was, our fondest memories were thinking he was George Burns when we were little, trying to get autographs. You guys knew him with the black rim glasses. You know what I'm talking about. And famous suntans after sunset outside. I didn't understand at the time, but he just didn't like the heat. Now that Kay reminded me, he just didn't like the heat. And always saying hi, screaming across the street, crossing the street. We had him over for 4th of July, and he had to get that half a beer in. But we're really going to miss him. He brightened up our lives, and I was glad that we lived there for so long. And I hope we still see you around and have you around close by.
Thank you. Anyone else? Well, it's good at times like this where we can talk about someone who had such a powerful impact in our lives. At this time, Pastor Steve Ambrose, who serves with us at the Valley Bible Church, is going to come and sing a song that Fern said was one that Dick enjoyed, and that is Amazing Grace. might we, I once was lost, but now am found. 'Twas blind, but now I see. It was grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious that grace appeared, the hour I first through many dangers, toils, and snares, I have already gone. His grace hath brought His safe us far, and grace will lead me home. When we then there 10,000 years. The first part talks about that sort of a shepherd-sheep relationship. David wrote this. He was the king of Israel way back then, and before he became king, he was a shepherd. Got a lot of sheep. We saw some just coming up here today.
On behalf of the McNutt family and Delano Mortuary, I would like to thank you all for being here for them right now. This is when they need you the most. At this time, this concludes the service. If you would like to come by and pay your respects to the family and tell Dick goodbye one last time, thank you for coming.
Yeah, I heard your wife on the air, and it like takes a minute to like dawn in on me. Oh yeah, that is his name.
That is his name. He's got a real name, that's right. What are you, little Grasshopper Junior?
We're back at Aunt Fern. There's my cousin Kenneth.
Too hot for me.
Hello.
Just doesn't seem fair, does it?
I guess.
There's something not right about that, you know what I mean? So I haven't been that bad. Maybe that's something to do with my five grandkids now.
You got 5 grandkids. Damn.
Can you believe that?
That's
That's too many.
That's wild. You're 47.
I try to keep them all apart. I don't want them all at once.
They'll gang up on you.
I don't stand a chance.
No,
So I just gotta keep them all separate.
Ricky's when the last time was you in Tennessee?
We were just saying that it was about 32 years ago.
32 years ago.
Yeah, I was 16, I think.
Good gracious.
16 years old, and I'm 47 now, so well, about 15 and 16.
So you live in what, San Jose or where? No, Sacramento.
Well, I am now, but I'm in Sacramento, but I was living in San Jose. And then the last time I went there, I think I went there without the lift.
Huh.
I don't know if the Dixon was out there. That's what the last time I was there.
Hey.
Okay.
She's calling you.
Oh, I didn't hear there. What?
Do you remember when Edward and I were staying at your house one night and Dawn and Edward sitting there having their drinks and kicking that cold turkey all night, and you and I got disgusted?
Probably. Like some
It wouldn't take much to entertain those guys.
Well, now how much older is Katie?
Oh, when they got together, forget it. There was nothing you could do.
So you kind
She's
of,
like a big sister.
yeah.
Well, Kay was.
But you started dating.
Are you glad
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
Barney came? I was pleased to see you. I was glad your Kay's Uncle Barney got here.
Yes, I was proud to have 3 brothers. Yeah, that was good. But he'd been taking some medication that wasn't free and making it.
Oh.
This is his son.
I'm glad I said something good.
Yeah. Was my daddy, you talking about my daddy?
Yeah.
Yeah, he ain't worth a flip.
That he
He's a good daddy.
I had a good thing. Over the years of
A lot of good memories.
Yeah. That's down there.
She said you were always protecting.
You had